Hello everyone, welcome to Tara Institute Monday night's teachings for 2026. So my name is Mark Fernandez. I'm a student of Buddhism and I've been studying for over 35 years, so more than half my life, so which is quite extraordinary really. So, but anyway, my main teachers are the resident teacher here at Tara Institute, Venerable Geshe Doga, Kyabje Lama Zopa Rinpoche, who's the founder of the Buddhist centres that Tara Institute belongs to, and also His Holiness the Dalai Lama. So I've had some very good teachers, which is extraordinary as well. So it's, as Geshe Doga has once taught, he said, you can sort of gravitate towards a teacher and be mesmerised by their charisma, and then find, once you're in their orbit, that they're a crook. So to find a very good teacher who's upstanding and actually practices the Buddhist teachings, it's not 100% certain. So anyway, tonight I'm going to discuss a number of different topics that we'll cover over the first 3 weeks of January. So on the 26th we won't have a Monday night, it's Australia Day, so the next 3 weeks we will. So the first topic I'd like to cover, actually first thing is, anyone new? Never been to Monday nights? Yeah, okay, welcome. Okay, and welcome to everyone else as well. So the first topic I'd like to cover is motivation. So I did listen to His Holiness's New Year's wishes. So I'm sure most of you did. It was quite short. It was like 4 minutes, 3 or 4 minutes. Very good. So I did listen to his New Year's message, and what struck me was the following. So the past is finished. There's not much we can do about the past. So he's virtually saying 2025 and before, the past, almost you can't do anything about it. It's already gone. So no need to hold on to it or have regret or longing, because it's finished. So we're in the present now. So that was the first thing that struck me. It was very much, okay, it's now 2026, we can focus forward. And then His Holiness mentioned we can set our goals and aspirations for the new year. So we could do something now that the clock's turned over. We can actually set some goals or aspirations for ourselves. And His Holiness mentioned that the best goal for us is to achieve happiness for ourselves. So that would seem self-evident, wouldn't it? That most people at New Year's Eve, or they're making their aspirations for the new year, and most aspirations have that motivation involved in it, or some sort of happiness for oneself. So His Holiness I don't think he was speaking something that was completely alien to us. But he did describe that happiness was a little bit different to what we would normally describe happiness as being. So he said that this happiness is inner peace. So he said it's almost a neutral feeling of satisfaction, so it's free of highs and lows. So that's quite a different interpretation of happiness. Because generally we think of happiness as the up before the down, it's the peak, and that's when you're most happy, and then it sort of can meander down to neutral and then perhaps below that. So, but His Holiness was saying is that the happy mind is that almost a neutral feeling, but it's satisfaction and free of highs and lows. And he's talking about inner peace. So, and again, he was talking about, I think it's, and I'll come to this a little bit later, but he was almost saying, well, you can have the external things that make you happy, but if you're internally dissatisfied, then those external things won't make much difference to you. The other thing I picked up on was that we can extend that wish for happiness to others based on our current capacity. So if our capacity is not, it's pretty small, there's not much room for wishing others happiness, well, that's what we can do. And if our capacity increases, then we can extend that wish for happiness to more people. And this wasn't part of his New Year's talk, but consistent with that last point, that we can increase our capacity to benefit ourselves and others. So it's not just limited or fixed or stuck. We can increase the capacity to benefit others. So in terms of motivation, so just like tonight, we can go, okay, we can have a goal for our own happiness, and that's valid and it's beneficial, and we can extend that wish or motivation for others' happiness as well, so that as much as we're able to. And that's very helpful to us and also helpful to others. So personally, I find the best time to set a motivation is when I wake up, and that way hopefully that motivation, if it's a good one, will propel any actions I do for the rest of the day. And it's probably when you wake up or early in the morning, not before you get into the business of the day, it's when you're perhaps the clearest, not too many thoughts rushing through, and you can actually set your motivation and then get on with your day, which can be quite busy and challenging and complex and so on, but that I find that very useful. So for tonight, for the period that we're listening to the teachings, then we should think strongly that we're going to do our best to develop good qualities through listening and thinking about and meditating. And it's valid to have the motivation for our own happiness, and it's also very beneficial to have the motivation to also wish to benefit all sentient beings, for them to have happiness as well. So one of my teachers, the Kapje Lama Zopa Rinpoche, he would go into tremendous detail on particularly in the dedication section, when you've got all this positive store of good fortune, merit, etc., how to dedicate it properly for the benefit of other beings in a particular place, in a particular situation, what type of merits you could dedicate. So he would go into tremendous detail, and I'd be flummoxed, because I'd be able surely it's very simple, you just have that feeling and you dedicate it towards those beings or all beings. But Lama Zopa was very, very much into the detail of, there are beings over here and some over here, and if you dedicate this type of merit to them, it will have this effect, and you wish that strongly upon them, and you keep wishing, and he'd repeated it as well. So, but suffice to say, I'm not Kapje Lama Zopa Rinpoche, so it will be sufficient to just set the motivation for ourselves and for other sentient beings. So we can have our own feeling of what other sentient beings are. This group here, this suburb, the state, the country, the world, you can keep, depending on your own capacity. So that's most useful. So in future, in the next few weeks we'll cover positive, negative and neutral actions. So, but establishing a good motivation at the beginning of any activity doesn't guarantee it, but it almost directs your actions to generating a positive result. So it's not 100% certain because, for example, there's a little ant that's on the edge of the sink there's water in the sink. I'm going to save that ant, scoop it up and take it outside. So the motivation's really good. The execution's not that good because I actually knocked the ant into the sink and the ant's dead. So, but the intention was very good. And generally speaking, it will generally follow that. Positive motivation will propel that action to be positive. Okay. So there's a truism from Buddhism, and the Dalai Lama has used this sentence quite a few times, so I'll repeat what he said. He said, all beings want happiness and don't want suffering. So like the ant and me, that ant wants happiness, whatever happiness is to the ant, it wants that, and I want happiness as well. So it's the same for all beings. They all have that within them, that there's that wish for happiness. And they want to avoid suffering as well. So that's evident, isn't it? When you look at the ant, that if it sees a boot about to trample it, it tries to scurry away. It doesn't want to be captive or squashed. So I studied psychology at university many years ago, and when I was studying psychology, it was more behavioural psychology. So they were looking at behaviour of humans and how they interact and how that could impact relationships and interactions within the society and so on. And it was quite good, quite illuminating, but there was a prevailing view that the animal, any animal, did not have feelings at all. So they were, while humans were operating on emotions, on an emotional level, relationship level, the animal was purely operating on a Pavlov's dog was, stimulus and response. You give it some food, it will salivate and then go for the food. If you put your hand out and don't give it the food, it will still reach out to grab. It'll be a stimulus response type of reaction as opposed to an emotional reaction. So that was the prevailing view when I was studying it, studying psychology, and I thought, even before I got involved in Buddhism, I thought, it doesn't seem right. It doesn't really reflect. And I've had dogs as pets. I thought, well, that dog's definitely very emotional, very attached, very loyal, got very good qualities. So I was thinking, well, I'm not trying to sort of impose human qualities on the dog, but it's operating on as much an emotional level as me. So that's interesting. So that for me, looking at a dog, for example, in that way, I can go, well, that dog wants happiness too. It's not just operating on if you give it some food, it'll eat, and that's it. It has an emotional life, if you like. So that's important. So for example, for me, is an example of that animal and all animals, as well as all humans, want happiness and they want to avoid suffering. So for me, it is a truism. So I don't think I've encountered anyone who wants the opposite. they want more suffering, and they want to avoid happiness. So, has anyone got a view to the contrary? Or does that sound okay? Yeah, so that's a Buddhist truism, if you like. And so more than that, more than the want or the wish for happiness and to avoid suffering, the Buddha said, oh, that's a valid wish. You're not fooling yourself by wishing for happiness. You're not deluding yourself. So that's important as well, because you think, well, there's no point wishing for happiness and if it can never be attained. And there's no point wanting to avoid suffering if that's all I will experience. So looking at what is happiness, in terms of happiness, most of the time we look for it in something external to ourselves, whether it's our relationships, our friends, our family, our work, our possessions, etc. But in Buddhism it teaches that the main source of happiness is the mind itself. So that's quite a different thought, isn't it? That all of these external factors can play a role in how we feel and how we engage. In the main, it's the internal thoughts and feelings, the mind, the expressions of the mind that determine whether at that point we are happy or not. So, just using another example, this is from the Dalai Lama. He talked about, because someone asked him this, a young person asked him this question about, well, how do you stop depression? How do you stop depression? It was a young woman. So he answered that question in several different parts. He said, well, it's not to do with the possessions. This is the opposite of depression, but he was saying what leads to depression is really that the person wants happiness. They look for it potentially in external things, possessions or wealth or renown, fame, relationships. Then he's almost delved into drugs and alcohol. There's another avenue that people look for to maybe escape their suffering and have some form of happiness. So that was quite interesting because the young woman who asked him the question, I don't think she realised that he would answer it in that broader a way. But then he swung it around and said, the drugs and the alcohol don't work. They actually, and this is probably a quality of a lot of the alcohol and the drugs, is that they're depressants. So, you drink and then it pulls you down a little bit, and then a bit more, and it's subduing your positive mental state, so you become a little bit more maudlin or morose. So you're not achieving happiness and you're probably propelling yourself towards some form of depression. So coming back to the previous example, His Holiness mentioned this happiness, talking about inner peace, inner quality, so that neutral feeling of satisfaction. So it's free of these external things. Still reliant on them, because if we don't have resources, etc., it'd be very hard to be happy if we were worried about survival. But if we have those things, we don't need to be pulling at them all the time, just be satisfied. So that last point is being satisfied with what you have. Does that sound unrealistic? Because that's the opposite of what we're told in a Western society, isn't it? Well, you don't need any more, you have what you have is good enough. Be satisfied with that. So, does that sound realistic, or is it not?
Sounds like contentment.
Contentment, but does anyone know anyone who's content or happy with what they have, just content, so they're not grabbing for something else, or they've got something they go, look, maybe that person's not quite good enough for me, there's someone better, I'll jump to that person or jump to that thing. So has anyone had that experience of knowing someone who's content? So within themselves they're happy. Yes? No? Yes? All right. Anyone with a no? They've never encountered anyone who's content. A few no responses, always in. So it's quite a difficult thing, isn't it? You might not observe someone else, but we can observe ourselves, can't we? So we can look inside ourselves and go, well, am I satisfied? How am I feeling? Am I up and down, or am I sort of even and still content? That's a great word, actually, content, because if you have that, it's very difficult for anything to disrupt that. If that's your inner state, is contentment or satisfaction, happiness, very hard for anything external to displace that. So when it comes to material things, so I mentioned before, it doesn't matter, they're good, we still need them. We're not trying to throw them away or give them up. So from a Buddhist perspective, those things, external things, are not the problem. So it's really our attitude towards them that causes the problems to arise. So if we have an even-centered, contented attitude towards things, then those external things need not be harmful, can be beneficial. So, I remember our translator, Sandu, he was saying he would go into the shopping centres with Geshe-Doga, Chadston, Southland, they'd go and they wouldn't have thousands of dollars to spend and we're going to get some Gucci here or whatever. But Sandu made this very interesting point. He said, we would go and we would mentally shop. So there'd be no burden on their wallets, because they'd mentally go, oh, well, that looks like nice, maybe I could buy that one day, or buy that one day, but then when they left the shop, that was it. There was no, I'm going to go back because Geshe-'s not looking, and I'll buy that and can't live with it. So it was just that mental shopping. And then it was an interesting way Sandra explained it, because essentially the feeling was still there that, oh, that object is very attractive, and yes, it could serve a good function. I'll mentally shop for it and then let it go when I leave. So I thought that was very interesting, because I thought that was quite a good attitude to have. Because quite often the feeling of, oh, I must have that, that's so perfect, that will make me so happy. And then when we do buy the object, buy the thing, that good feeling, it's sort of a bit ephemeral. It doesn't last very long. You know, you have it. Once you have it, the good feeling from anticipating getting it is gone, and then you have the object. It doesn't. On its own, the object doesn't make you any more happier. So there's a strong wish for it, and that there's an anticipation as well. So there's all these good things happening. But then when we buy the object or get the object, we go, well, I've got it now. And then where does the object go? Out of sight, out of mind, and then something else will take its place if we're that way inclined. So it's sort of it is interesting. Anyway, that was a good story that Sandal mentioned about that mental shopping. Oh, that's a good way to do it. So in Buddhism, the other thing that they talk about is what if the mind can be satisfied? What are the things that can make us unhappy within ourselves? So they talk about the delusions or afflicted emotions, and they're within us. They're not someone else's. So, but they can arise within us, can't they? Like so. And I usually like asking these questions because I know there are some very good experienced students here. So, what are some examples of afflicted minds or delusions? Anger. Anger's a good one, yeah. Jealousy, yeah. Greed, yes. Yeah. So what was that? Hatred, yes. Hatred, yeah. Very strong emotion, yeah. So, one. Sorry, what was that? Envy, yes. Envy. And would you say envy is someone has something that you wish you had, or? Potentially. Yeah. So there's another one. So it's sort of like, almost like by association, someone has something, some quality or some object or something, where they shouldn't have it. Maybe it should be me. So that's another good mental delusion or afflicted emotion. So one thing that sets Buddhism apart from other religions is the idea that those afflicted emotions or delusions are not at one with our true nature. That even though they're within us, those emotions are there, they're not 100% tied to our being. So they're called, those emotions, adventitious. So adventitious means they're ephemeral. So they're there, but they're not at one with the true nature of the mind. So the analogy that the Buddhists use is the mind is like the sky, so it's pure and clear, and these afflicted emotions are like clouds that cover it up, dark, black, like. So they seem to be, for most of us, it's like, it's mainly the afflicted emotions, and they can't really see this clear mind. But that's the Buddhist principle, that the true nature of every being is that pure, clean Buddha nature. They call it the Buddha nature, like the sky, just crystal clear. So these afflicted emotions, they can appear to the mind, to our mind, but Buddhism postulates, theorises, believes that those afflicted emotions can be at first subdued, like antidotes applied, and then eventually they can be removed completely. And if we've ever read or heard the story of the Buddha, so it sort of reads like a fairy tale almost. You know, he started off as a prince in an Indian kingdom. You know, he was married young. He had everything he could desire. The courtiers hid any sign of old age and death and sickness from him. You know, so it looked like a perfect world for a prince, etc. But he then, through his own adventures through the city, found that, well, there was death and there was old age and sickness, etc. And that couldn't be the only way to live. There must be something better. And then he sort of essentially gave up his riches for a life of wandering and asceticism, if you've ever read the story. So effectively went through lots of trials and tribulations to find a way to realise that crystal clear pure nature. So, the story goes that he achieved that state of Buddhahood or enlightenment under the Bodhi tree in Bodh Gaya in India. So it's over 2,600 years ago, or 2,800 years ago. Yeah. Anyway, it's predates Christianity and so on. Goes back. So essentially, from there, so he that story is an example of a human being with foibles, afflictions, and so on, who followed a certain path and then realised that pure, clean nature, essentially that Buddha nature within himself, and then started to teach about how, well, all other beings have that nature and they can achieve it or realise it. So I'm going to we'll do some meditation, because I think that's very good. So this is a breathing meditation. So this is a meditation that so essentially it's called a focused or concentration type meditation. So and it's very easy. So and it gives you the experience of the mind being at peace. So so we'll only do the meditation for a short time, because it's better, particularly when we're beginning to meditate, for a short time with some focus and enjoyment, and then that will give us a desire, if you like, to do it again at another time, rather than to make it too long and too arduous, and then you say, well, no, not for me. So let's do it. So we just make ourselves comfortable. So the main thing is try and keep your back straight, whether that's sitting on a chair or cross-legged. So you're going to keep your mouth closed, so you're going to breathe through your nose or your nostrils. And the focus of the meditation is going to be on the breath. So you keep your hands gently on your lap. And in our tradition, the left hand goes under and the right hand goes on top. And then the thumbs are touching, pointing back towards the navel. And you're resting your thumb sort of almost back to where your belly button is. So our eyes are not completely closed, they're not completely open. You just want to let an impression of light in. So just begin by breathing gently through the nostrils. So in and out. And as you're breathing in, you can let beautiful, enlightened energy come into you. And as you're breathing out, you can let out all the worries and concerns. So keep your focus on your breathing, so gently through the nostrils, and try and keep your attention there on that sensation. So we'll do that for a few minutes. And with this meditation, if your concentration wavers and you start thinking about other things, just gently bring your attention back to the breathing. So just bring your attention back to the room, and you can open your eyes. So some of the benefits of that breathing meditation. So the mind becomes more relaxed but alert. So if you like, it's almost like they're two extra contrasting type of features, aren't they? Relaxed and alert, but you can have them at the same time. In fact, that's a very effective state to be in when you're wide awake, relaxed but you're alert. So the mind becomes clearer. So as you're breathing in and out, so the natural rise and fall of the breath is very conducive to clearing away, because you're not holding on to anything, you're just focusing on the breath. So another outcome of the breathing meditation, the mind is able to focus on its chosen object. So while you were doing the breathing meditation, your object was the breath, but outside of meditation, your focus will be stronger on any object. So that's another advantage of that type of meditation. So it develops that concentration or focused mind, which is good. with that breathing meditation, if you do it over time, you're able to investigate the object of meditation, whatever that is, whether it's the breath or anything else, more deeply. So analogy for that is, and this is a Buddhist analogy, this is from the point of view of a yogi who's practicing yoga of meditation, non-Buddhist. They're able to meditate, observe the afflicted states, and then see right through them, like they become ephemeral. So that's pretty good, isn't it? Because they've sort of essentially said bar humbug to those states. And unfortunately for those yogis, according to the Buddhist philosophy, that's somewhat temporary, but you can see that through their efforts at meditation they're able to pierce, see more deeply those afflicted emotions and see through them. So that must be a good no, it's certainly a good achievement, isn't it? So this one's back to the breath. So as the breath rises and falls, we can observe that it's changing moment to moment. Like the last breath's gone and then it's the next breath, in and out. And so it's like His Holiness is saying 2025 is gone, so it's just the present and then the next one. And then so changing moment to moment. So why would that be useful to have, to observe that things are changing moment to moment? So is there any advantage in seeing that things are changing moment to moment?
Well, it could sort of stimulate a lack of attachment to things that you shouldn't be attached to, ideally, and you just see them for what they are.
Correct. So that's a great answer, because you can see, by seeing the natural change of phenomena, objects moment to moment, you can become not as attached or less attached or detached from them, because you can see, well, they're coming and then they're going. So no need to put much energy into being attached to them. So does anyone know Rolex watches? Rolex, everyone's heard of that brand? So when COVID hit, they ran out of, they couldn't make any watches. So they, limited stock. So limited supply of stock, when the prices went up, because the market for those watches was still there. Post-COVID, Rolex decided, well, we'll keep that up. We'll limit the stock. We'll put out new models, but we'll limit the availability of the models to buy. So it kept up. So what that did, it created the FOMO, fear of missing out. So for those potential watch buyers, they'd say, "Oh, geez, those watches are hard to get, and I really want a watch like that." So a desire that perhaps wasn't there was sort of cultivated or created or sort of encouraged, and it still goes on till today. So whereas you think, oh well, Rolex should be just getting their production back to where they were pre-COVID, and then there's enough watches for everyone and the prices don't need to keep rising, but they've created a sort of this market, which also De Beers diamonds. Well, they've done it for over 100 years, essentially, limited the supply of real diamonds, and that keeps the price high. So it's interesting. So, but anyway, your point is very good. If you have that, seeing that things are changing moment to moment, there's no need to potentially get so caught up in it or so involved in it that you must chase that object. So that's good. There's a contentment coming from that too. So that's the things. So if we have a challenging situation, can we observe that it's permanent, fixed, unchanging, forever? Is that our experience? That when we have a challenging moment or experience or difficulty, that's the way it will be forever, or that's the way it is forever. Is that what happens? Is that how we feel though at the time? Yes, we feel that, oh gosh, this is all consuming. It's so terrible. I mean, I'll never be able to cope with this. So, but if we could use that observation that even other phenomena are changing moment to moment, just like the breath, that it's coming and going and the past one's gone, and that it could enable us to handle problematic or challenging situations better. Because we'd see, well, it's challenging at this moment, well, I usually get through these things. I'll work out a way and get through it and not get so upset or overwhelmed. So at first the effects of the breathing meditation in particular are pretty much over as soon as you stop the breathing meditation. So you might develop a level of, calm and, clarity and relaxed and alert while you're doing the meditation. But then out of the meditation you might find, well, it's like two different people. Mark the meditator and then Mark in real life, and they're two different people because one's running around like a madman, the other one can sit on a cushion for a minute. So it's like, so the effect of the meditation didn't linger. So it didn't carry on. But if you continue with meditation with a regular practice, then as your meditation becomes more developed, you have less agitation and dullness, so it'll be relaxed and clear, composed, inner happiness and satisfaction. Then that will spill over into the rest of your day, your night, your sleep, everything. So that's termed a latency, a latent effect. So it's like a little bit like a elastic band. You pull it, and if you go on meditating until it doesn't. If you develop it enough, it'll have a momentum of its own for you for the rest of the day. So that's good, isn't it? So it's not ephemeral, as well, it was just there for that 1 minute that I could meditate, and then the rest of the 23 hours and 59 minutes of the day, there was nothing. It's like, no, it can carry you. So do we need to be Buddhist to be able to do a practice like breathing meditation? Yes, no, yes, no. Okay, so is there anything specific that the Buddhists would say are assisted, what Buddhist practices that are assisted by doing the meditation? So these are in Buddhism they call them wisdom tools. So we have three. The third one being meditation, which we've just practiced, just done, and the first two are listening and thinking about. So in Buddhism they say that all three help each other. So if you do some meditation, it will help you when you listen and it'll help you when you think about things, and they all help each other. So that's quite good. That's excellent if you want to learn something or develop a quality within yourself, or a skill, or your occupation, whatever. So very good. So another type of meditation that we have is called analytical meditation. So a little bit different to breathing meditation, where we're just focused on the breathing as the object, and it's more focused on just developing concentration on the one object, in and out. So with the analytical meditation, we're using a meditation object and then doing some investigation. So that's quite interesting. So in Buddhism, these type of meditations, the analytical, generally they're initially guided. So there's a reason why they're guided, because there is a danger, particularly you can see it online, do this mindfulness meditation by yourself or do whatever, but there's no guidance to, well, what if it gets a bit uncomfortable and difficult for me? Is there something I could do to, help or to assist me? And generally, so in these types of meditations, initially they're guided because it helps you, and then after a while you can do it yourself and no problem. But because you're looking at an object, could be in the case tonight we'll do a friend. So we'll, if you feel too much discomfort, then you can pull back. No problem. So it's easy to do. So and why are we examining the friend? Is there any reason why we would examine someone like a friend? To make sure they're okay, yes, that's right. But also it's quite a universal relationship, isn't it? That we have friends or a friend. So it's not obscure, as in, I've never had a friend, I don't know what a friend is. It's sort of like that. We can all have some sort of idea of who a friend is and what a friend is. So in the Buddhist concept, we can say that the friend is someone who is close to us. We have some positive feeling towards them and affection towards them. And hopefully they have the same feeling towards us. But it's not always the case, is it? That it's reciprocated 100%. I'm their best friend. Mark's just an acquaintance. So both can be true, can't they? I'm their best friend, but to them I'm just merely an acquaintance. So anyway, let's adopt the meditation posture. We'll do this for a few minutes. So we'll do some breathing meditation first. So just focusing on the breath going in and out through the nostrils. Now we switch our attention to an image of the friend in front of us. So it could be a current friend or a friend from the past. So we can examine, have they always been our friend? Do they have perfect qualities? How do they make us feel? Has our friend ever harmed us? And lastly, can I extend the feeling I have towards my friend to others? So just bring your attention back to the room and open your eyes. So, are there any insights that we can have into friends, our friends? So I did mention that they're pretty much a universal phenomenon, aren't they? That most people have a friend or have had a friend. You know, it's not foreign to most people. So that's one. Just like the coming and going of things, the friend, the person can they can change, can't they? Maybe they're a very strong friend once, and then drift apart from us, or the opposite. They're someone we disliked, and then suddenly they're our closest friend. So the relationship or the feeling towards them can change. Huh? So it's changeable. Sometimes a friend may harm us, so that they're not perfect. And if we use self-reflection, we should be saying the same thing about us, that we can sometimes harm our friend because we're not perfect. So it goes both ways, but that's true as well, I think. The closeness or affection towards a friend can be extended to others. So, does that sound possible? Yeah. So extending that feeling of being a friend to others, particularly if you did that as your motivation through the day, for the day, means that you're immediately, your mindset is not defensive, it's positive and open, regardless of how the person meets with you, etc. You're viewing them as a friend. So quite good, quite strong. So quite a powerful idea. So if we develop that feeling, equal feeling of friendship towards others, this is called the Buddhist practice of equanimity. So it's equal feeling of affection towards others, essentially. And it helps protect the peaceful, happy mind we've developed. So all good qualities. So it's just examining the friend. So I think we'll stop for tonight on that. So we just dedicate any merit we've accumulated tonight, so we'll do that for the benefit of ourselves and all beings.